Good morning and welcome to the Oasis Center for Spiritual Living, where we come together as one, providing spiritual tools for daily living. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Reverend Tucker. I'm the senior minister here at the Oasis, and I have this great team just in time. I have this great team that God has blessed me with, and so I'd like to introduce them as well. First of all is Faith. Faith has been my assistant since basically she was in the womb because her dad was working the sound table at that time. She is now my official assistant and just turned 18 last week. Woo-hoo-hoo. Yes. And, finding out what it's like to turn 18, there's all these things you have to do now. And she was just talking about that today. And I'm like, yeah, that's something we didn't talk about in the coming of age last week. There's a lot to be done. So anyway, Faith is behind the scenes. And so when you say good morning, hi, how are you, whatever, Faith is going to answer you. And she does such a good job of it. I do check to make sure if there's anything else I need to say, but she knows me better than I know myself. So, and she is our singer at the moment. So today she's going to be singing
Fairy Lane.
Reverend Fairy Lane Silver. Yeah, I try to remember all the titles beforehand to get it, because Elaine Silver comes right away, but the rest of it. Anyway, what is this thing called life, which is a great song. So stay tuned. And then there is the wise and powerful Oz. And he's been my partner in crime since 1998, my first baby practitioner. And he is our practitioner of the day. So he's available. He does our pray in, our pray out, and he's available at the very end for a 1-minute miracle. So thank you for being here, both of you. I really appreciate both of you so much. All right. And we're going to go back to basics. Usually I take a whole month to do that, but I'm going to try and do it all in one Sunday. So it's going to be a lot, but I think we can do it. All right. And I also like to introduce our, what I call our music team, even though, they don't appear, but they provide us with their music so that we can have music on Sunday. So I really appreciate them. One is Reverend Fairy Lane Silver, and the other is Karen Drucker. So say hi, hello, good morning. If you're here, just let us know you're here, because in a facility, I could look out and see who's there, and I can't do that with this software. So I appreciate it when you do that. And then, excuse me, if you'd like to do a watch party, there's a watch party button. Just press on that and invite all your friends. It's a great way for them to know what kind of sermons they can expect to see on a Sunday. And it's also a great way for you to answer their questions without bothering anybody. You can talk back and forth, whatever. I'd like to invite you right now to close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Allow the service to uplift and inspire you as we move into our centering song.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
The presence of God right here, right now. For God is in everything as everything. If God is all powerful, as God is all present, if God is eternal, it must be every place, including right here, right now, in me and you and in all things. For that is how we conceive of God, that all-powerful presence that continuously creates the universe and creates you and I through our lives, through our thoughts, through our beliefs. We are part of the process. We co-create with God, in God, as God. And God is in us as us at all times, in all circumstances. I know this is a good thing. And I know that the blessings flow forth through our lives from this one great source. And I give thanks that that is so, and I let it be, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Oz. This next song is We Are All One, and that is by Reverend Fairy Elaine Silver as well. If you don't know the words, learn them. It's our philosophy. We are all one. But if you know the words, let's sing them loud and sing them proud, because you can't bother anybody, right?
We are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it. I hear it and know it, my being. Spirit is all I am seeing. For God is all there is. Grateful am I to be living, open to what I receive, honoring what I've been given, sharing now what I believe. I remember the oneness around me. I surrender to infinite light, knowing the love that's surrounding me is within me by day and night. And we are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it. Yes, we are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it.
Say hi, hello, good morning, however you'd like to greet us. Let us know you're here. But also, if you like something that you hear, whether that's something that Faith sings or Oz prays or I say, do the thumbs up button. Let us know you like it. If you love it, send us hearts because we love it. We love to get love. And if something hits you as really powerful, by all means, use the wow button. It gives us great feedback. And we like to get that feedback because we like to know when we're on target. So anyway, without further ado, here is Faith singing What Is This Thing Called Life by Reverend Fairy Elaine Silver.
What is this thing called life? What is this thing called life? Reuniting with the source, conscious of the sacred course, miracles abounding every day. Trusting faith to care. Trusting faith to pave the way. What is this thing called life? What is this thing called life? to bring success, manifesting with the one. Just as we do. What is this thing called life? What is this thing called life? Finding with intelligence, blessings coming down every side, radiating from the mind. Exalted joy and beauty now our life. Exalted joy and beauty now our life. What is this thing called life? 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 Thank you.
Thank you, sweetie. Oh, goodness. I always like to hear that song when I'm doing the Back to Basics series because it's one of the ones that she did when she was in practitioner training, and it is so close to what I'm going to be talking about that it's just perfect for this topic. And when I say back to basics, what I'm saying is there's the first 4 chapters of the Science Mind textbook we do twice a year usually. Usually when we're offering classes. Right now I can't offer classes. My life has just gotten a little bit busy since Lynn's lung transplant, and I don't even have time basically to eat my food and sleep or whatever. So I don't have time to teach, but I always like to go back to the basics anyway, because I think it's a great way to do this. The Tai Chi masters do 7 moves their entire life. They just keep doing these 7 moves and deepening into them. And when I talk about back to basics, I feel like that's what we're doing. If you're new to this, it gives you an idea of what we teach. And if you're not new to this, it's a great way to deepen into these core concepts. So anyway, the first 4 chapters of the Science Mind textbook are the thing itself, the way it works, what it does, and how to use it. And so instead of, I usually do this over 4 weeks, but it's been a little crazy. So we're doing it this way instead. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of every one of those chapters. So first of all, the thing itself is God, simply put. There's an indwelling presence within each one of us that is the thing itself. And our bodies and our lives have this divine blueprint that is the truth about us. Now, God, as we know it in our philosophy, is not some wise judge up in the sky, or not somebody who's going to, 911 rescue us. Instead, it is a presence that flows through us. And everything that we think, say, or do is guided and led by that one indwelling presence of God. And so you can't get away from God. God lives within you. And I like that concept a little bit better than some other concepts of God, because it's impartial, because it is impersonal. Now, I know that's a weird thing to say, but I like the idea that God loves everybody unconditionally, no matter who you are. Doesn't matter what gender you are, what sexual orientation you are, what color you are, what race you are, what nationality you are. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. And so I like that, because I was raised with a God that wasn't that. And it was very discomforting to me to have a God that preferred men over women, to be perfectly blunt. I was a teenager coming into womanhood, and it really scarred me. Let's just put it that way. And so I love the idea of an impersonal God and an impartial God that does not favor one person over another. I don't have to do anything to earn it because it's already within me. And so I don't have to deserve God because God is already there. I was born with it. And so it flows through me. I like to think of it as a watermark on a page. We give form as the images on the watermark. We give form to the page as it flows through, but it doesn't alter that the page flows through. And I think God's that same way. We give form, we give a physical form to God, but God is absolutely flowing through all of us, and it doesn't change God at all that I am the one processing God or you are the one processing God through us. And that's the thing that I really like about our version of God. So that's the thing itself, God. The second thing is the way it works, and that's through love and law. Love is impersonal. We're not going to flag down cars to hit us when we have faith, because we don't believe in a 911 God. We don't want to go, hey, God, rescue me, prove you're here. We're not going to do that. Just even the way Jesus wouldn't do that when he was being tempted to. And the law is impartial. It works for everyone regardless. And, you know, if I go over and I turn on a light switch, anyone else can go over and turn on that light switch as well. Because there are spiritual laws in the universe, just like there are physical laws in the universe, I know that I can use them as well as anyone else. So I love that love is impersonal, that the way it works is through love and law, and that love is impersonal, meaning it, you know, there's no one to rescue us. It's up to us to live our lives according to how we feel in our lives. If I do acts of kindness and goodness, I feel better in my life. If I do acts of anything other than that, I feel icky inside. Have you ever had that experience? You walk away from an argument and you just feel icky inside. And that's what I think the love being impersonal means. God is the name that we give to universal spiritual law, just like gravity is one of the names that we give to physical law. So here on earth, we are governed by gravity, and everybody is at the same effect of it. There is no getting away from gravity, just like there is no way of getting away from God. And so when it flows through us so perfectly like that, we have access to it 24/7. It's not like we have to count on someone else to be an intermediary to speak to God on our behalf, like a priest or a pastor or anything else, because we have that direct access to the God within us. And it is through the love of God, knowing that no matter what we do, God loves us the same, and that we can work the spiritual laws just as well as anyone else can. Okay, so that's the way it works. So the thing itself is God. The way it works is through love and law, impersonal and impartial. And so the third chapter is what it does. And I want to talk about transformation versus change just for a moment, because I can change anything in my life. Doesn't mean that I have transformed my life. It just means that I've made a change. And when we truly transform our lives, we now live whatever it is that changed, right? So for instance, I'm on this autoimmune protocol. I've changed my eating. I'm taking all these supplements under the care of a doctor. And I know at the end of this, they say, yeah, you know, you have to change your life completely for the rest of your life in order to make sure that these changes are permanent. Well, I'm going to do my best. I will do the 4-month program, and we'll see at the end of it how I feel. If it can get rid of my autoimmune disease, hey, I may stay on the program forever. But as it stands right now, you know, I miss my coffee and I miss my eggs and black pepper of all things. Oatmeal with oat milk, things like that I want to be able to add back into my diet. And there's a point at which after the 4 months, you begin to add things back into your body, back into your diet. And you determine whether it makes you feel bad or not. Are those trigger foods that are going to trigger inflammation or not? So, but what I'm saying is that when that change has become permanent, when I make a transformation into that new lifestyle, then I have truly transformed. As of right now, I'm making changes. And I think we can say that for every aspect of our lives. It doesn't really matter what aspect. We are human doings that are having we are spiritual beings having a human experience where we are living out our lives doing human things, right? But there is still that influence of the God within us that takes over pretty much, if we allow it. Otherwise, we're just, existing as humans. I used to separate myself, for instance. I thought it was important for me to be a different person with my family than I was in church, say, for example. And then finally, I understood that who I am is who I am. And I don't have to be different with different people. When I am confident in who I am, when I have made the transformation into the truest sense of who I am, then it doesn't matter who I'm around. They will experience me as me. And some people will like me and some people won't, but it doesn't matter because I will like me. I will love me, and accept myself. And that brings us to oneness, for example. I remember, it's so funny, even in our organization, we still have people who think of things as spiritual and non-spiritual. For instance, we went to Vegas one time for a convention, and they put us up in this hotel, and I'm trying to remember, the Alexis Park, that's what it was. It's a convention center. It has no casino in it. It has really nothing in it. Let's just put it that way. They had a restaurant that served, I don't know, maybe 30 people. And they were only open from 5 to 7, I think it was. And our meetings started at 7 and we had 400 people. So you can see the challenge that presented. But they felt like it was going to be more spiritual because it didn't have a casino. And we spent $140 a night. And that was back in the 80s or 90s, I guess it was the 90s. Maybe it was 2000. I'm not sure. Anyway, a long time ago. And at that time, you could go to the Sahara for $30 a night, just to give you a kind of an idea. And so what happened was a bunch of us left after the first night. I checked into my hotel and the lights didn't work. So I had to use a flashlight to get into my suitcase. It just wasn't the experience I wanted to have for $140 a night. Let's just put it that way. And nothing was open past 9. I went to the desk and asked them if they could keep the sauna and steam room open and the whirlpool open for us for an hour afterwards. And they said, sure, bring us someone with a checkbook and we'll be happy to do that. But that kind of gives you an idea. And Vegas is all about money. I get that, but it just wasn't the kind of place that I wanted to stay. And there was a bunch of us that checked out that very next day. And everybody went all kinds of other places. We went to the Sahara. We stayed for $30 a night. The savings allowed us to rent a car so we could get back and forth. But the Sahara had coffee in the room, which we weren't allowed at the Alexis Park. There was an all-night cafe where I could get steak and eggs for like $6.99. And so it really turned out to be a better experience for me. Plus, it had a casino. So in the off hours, I could go play at the casino. And so we were all sitting in the lobby of the Alexis Park one day. I think it was like the day after everyone had checked out. And, the leaders were begging us not to check out because we got our conference rooms free because of all the reservations. But, oh well. And one of the teenagers was sitting listening to this whole conversation as we were talking about, there wasn't a casino here, so they felt it would be more spiritual. And God bless our teens who have been raised in religious science. Faith can testify to this. They spout what we teach because it's ingrained in them. And so one of the teenagers, Kristen, said, I thought God was in everything, even in the casino. And, Kathy, Dr. Kathleen Vode and I just burst out into laughter because to us, that was really true. She was speaking truth to power pretty much. And the leaders were just aghast by that because they felt like they were trying to create this more spiritual experience for all of us. But when we understand that God is within us, there is no such thing as a non-spiritual experience. So Kristen was exactly right about that. And so I like to think of everything in my life being a spiritual experience. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, said, "Every man stands in the shadow of a mighty mind, pure intelligence, and a divine givingness. Yet we allow ourselves to be distracted by a world that is filled with the appearance of limitation and disappointment." See, sometimes we give this appearance the name evil or harmful or sinful. In New Thought, we all think of it as the dark side or shadow material. In the Native American tradition, they call it the shadow world. But darkness is only the inability to see. It doesn't have a life force of its own. So what I say, what it does, what our philosophy does, is it allows us to see in the darkness, so to speak. Cats see in the darkness. Scopes and flash, we've developed flashlights and scopes so we can see in the darkness too. But I think that because God is always there, whether we see it or not, whether we feel it or not, whether we acknowledge it or not, it's always there. And if God is all there is, then it's part of our makeup. That's why I believe the Garden of Eden story is improbable. We have to be willing to allow it to work through us instead of looking for the rescue 911. We have to recognize that God can always see us because it is within us. So it experiences our life as much as we do. And what Science of Mind does for us is to remove the limitations, the loneliness, the expectations, the disappointment, and the arbitrariness of the world. But for some reason, I cannot get words out of my mouth today. So how to use it is the fourth chapter. And that's what I'm going to spend the bulk of my time talking about it. Because we do it through meditation is the first tool that we have in our toolkit. And meditation doesn't have to look like sitting in a certain position with our fingers like this. Meditation can be done anywhere, absolutely anywhere. Well, I don't recommend you do it driving a car, because you could put yourself in an altered state of consciousness and you don't really want to be driving. It also could make you more alert, but let's not take that chance. Ram Dass told the story of when he was meditating in the temple and realized for the first time that meditating in the temple was easy, but in order to prove himself, he felt like he needed to go to New York City and sit on a street corner, because if he felt like he could meditate there, he could do meditation anywhere, and he will have truly mastered the science of meditation. So there's a lot of good books out there, the 5-Minute Meditator, The Joy of Meditation. There's a lot of books like that you can get that will guide you through ways to meditate. My favorite one out of all of them, when I'm teaching beginners, is to put a candle in front of you, stare at the candle flame lit. You light the candle. Stare at that flame for a minute. Try not to blink as much as possible. At the end of 1 minute, you take your hands and you put them over your eyelids. You don't press down really hard, but you press enough that you begin to see this flame right here. Now, the trick with meditation is training the monkey mind so that it doesn't unfocus. And so with this meditation, why I like it so much to teach beginners is because you have to keep the flame right here. It wants to flicker away and go places and disappear altogether. But you try holding it in that one position, and you do it for 1 minute at first. And then as you gain the ability to keep it in place, you increase that to 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Because you're training your mind to focus on something that allows you to free your mind from that chatter that goes on in your mind. I'm not worthy. I don't deserve. I can't have. All of that stuff, meditation will assist you with, because it allows you to tap into that internal God presence that lives within you. It allows you to cultivate a relationship with that. That's what meditation does. And then I want to talk a little bit about spiritual mind treatment, but I'm going to kind of move that to the end. I think spiritual mind treatment and meditation are the two most important, but it takes a little bit longer to explain the spiritual mind treatment. So let's talk about the other tools in the toolkit first. First of all, visualization. Most of us are familiar with golf stars and athletic stars, and even successful business people who use visualization for the purpose of focusing on their goal. Now, when you're using visualization, you are focusing on a reality that you would like to see in your life. Successful business people will do that, seeing their business as successful. Athletes will see themselves as successfully winning at whatever sport they're in. And when you do that enough times, you are reprogramming your mental acuity to think that this is the truth, right? And so visualization helps us to get there by allowing us to see a reality that we may not have seen before. For instance, when you go to a movie, say it's a sad movie, and you begin to cry because the story is sad, you know that it's not true. You know it's fiction, and yet your body doesn't know the difference, right? And so in visualization, what we're doing is we're training our mind to accept that reality as already having happened, if that makes any sense. And again, your body does not know the difference. Your mind does not know the difference between that fiction and reality. And so the visualization takes us to that place where we're able to do that. Now, another thing that trains our mind is affirmations. And I want to talk a little bit about affirmations in kind of a different way. My brother had a stroke in 2000, a pretty massive stroke where it happened in his left brain, crossed over midbrain and into his right brain, which meant that he was not able to talk. And so a good friend of ours, Dr. Margaret Stannard, who is no longer with us, by the way, but we brought her in to consult on his case. She was one of a handful of people in the world that had the qualifications that she had. She took, she was in the School of Medicine and took all her program all the way to becoming an MD, except for one class, and then decided she didn't want to be an MD after all, and went through speech pathology training instead. And so she was called to consult all over the world, literally all over the world. And it just so happened she was a friend of ours, and my brother was not getting much better. And so we called her in to consult. And she looked at everything and she said, okay, so here's how pathways in the brain work. She said, okay, he's damaged the pathways in the left brain. So we're going to focus on the right brain, because sometimes we can create neural pathways in the right brain that will take over the language functionality. Unfortunately, his was too damaged to do that. But in the process, when we're looking at the MRIs and she was explaining all of this, I had this big aha, because she was talking about how when you're born, basically you're born with a smooth brain. And through repetition, your brain digs these little grooves in it. And that's how the neural pathways work, so that you have ready access to the information. So when you're learning to drive a car, for example, through repetition, you learn you can go on autopilot to do some things because you have ready access to that information. So you can now focus your attention on what's happening out there on the street, instead of, I must put my foot over here now. I must put my foot over here now. And as she was explaining that, I had this huge aha, and I'm like, so that's why affirmations work. And she said, yes. And it was exciting for me to understand that the reason that we do affirmations is because we want to create those deeper grooves in the brain, which allow the neural pathways to connect with that material. So I was recently turned on to someone who was talking about affirmations in a way that doesn't challenge our subjective mind. And I'll talk a little bit about the subjective mind here in a minute. But she was talking about making the affirmations more neutral, so that our brain didn't automatically go to the I don't deserve or that's not possible place. And what she's saying is things like, say your goal is $10,000, for example, a month. All right. And so you would say something like, $10,000 is now available and received, right? Because you're not doing the I am. Now, I think the most powerful affirmations are I am statements, but she's right. It does trigger the subjective mind to come up with all of these excuses why that isn't true. So when I am constructing my affirmations, I usually say I am healthy, wealthy, and wise, or I am healthy, wealthy, and love, or something to that effect. Get your toy and play with it, please. Stop chewing on other things. And so it helps us all to be able to claim the I am. Because you remember when Moses was in the desert and he was talking to the burning bush, he said, who should I say sent me? And the bush said, tell them the I am sent you. And that means that I am is the most powerful being, right? And that's what lives inside of us, right? So when I'm tapping into the I am, when I'm making I am statements in affirmations, I'm declaring for myself that this is true. And I'm creating those deep grooves that create neural pathways in my brain. So that's what affirmations do. And I like to say, do them 100 times. Well, we have someone who has mala beads and bracelets for sale, and I'll be doing that in the announcements. These are amethyst, but there's 104 beads on this. And so if you have a set of mala beads, you can count off the number of times you say it. I say do it 100 times a day. I say break it up into 10 times 10 a day. So you say it 10 times, you walk away. You do that 10 times a day. A great way to do that is playing cards. There's 52 cards in a deck. Take out 2 of them, count out 50 cards. And then count out another 50 later on. There's all kinds of ways to make sure that you're doing enough affirmations. And remember, we want to keep them in the present tense, or that this has already happened, instead of I will get something someday, right? All right. Oh, I know what it was. She said, $10,000 is on its way to me right now. Which I agree with and don't agree with. I mean, yes, if it's going to activate your subjective mind to offer a challenge to what you're saying, you don't want to make them so powerful that your subjective mind feels like it has to jump up and say howdy, right? The subjective mind's whole purpose is to protect you. It was designed to protect you. And so it will jump up and say howdy anytime it feels threatened by anything you're saying or doing. So if you say that, if you want to make sure that it's nothing that's going to challenge that subjective mind, by all means use that one. If you can overcome those challenges, I would say use the I am statements, because those are very, very powerful. I am enough, I have enough, I do enough is another one of my favorites. Okay, then on to visioning, because we do visioning once a quarter here. And visioning is the opposite of visualization. In visualization, you are looking at something that you want to see happen, and you are bringing it into fruition by focusing your attention on it. Visioning is being wide open to that larger vision that God has for us in our lives. We only see this many possibilities, just this much, and God sees the whole picture. There was a movie called What the Bleep Do I Know? Some of you may remember, in which Marlee Matlin was watching this kid bouncing a basketball, and she turned her back on him, and all these balls came from everywhere. And they were talking about the possibilities of life being endless, and that we don't see all of those possibilities because we focus our attention on the one ball. Then she turns back, and there's the one kid bouncing the one ball. She turns back away, and all those balls go flying again. And we're missing those potentialities because we are so focused on the one thing. So when you're doing visioning, we ask 3 questions. What is God's vision for my life? What must I become in order to be the open vessel through which that vision manifests? And what must I release in order to become that? So we do visioning once a quarter. We'll be doing it the first week in March. And so stay tuned and come back for that. If you aren't going to come back every week, come back at least for that on the first week in March. All right. So that's visioning. All right. Now I want to talk about spiritual mind treatment, because that is our form of affirmative prayer. And I want to put this up real quick here so you can see. This is our teaching symbol. And first we have the unbroken unity of God, the circle that is unbroken. That represents the unity of God, the oneness of God. And although you cannot break the oneness into parts, we have, for illustrative purposes only, have broken it into 3 parts to make it easier to explain and understand. The top part of that, you see the 2 lines there break it apart. The top of that line in the God realm is the conscious mind, the middle is the subjective mind, and the bottom is the physical form. So God thinks us into being, and the soul stuff, kind of like silly putty or Play-Doh or something, is the middle part, which God makes us of itself, and we are in the bottom part as the individuals. In the individual, it's the same process, it's just different according to what the manifestation looks like. Our conscious mind is the top, our subjective mind is the middle, and whatever we bring into physical form is the bottom. In that middle is everything that we have ever experienced and our reactions to everything that we have experienced. And so if we have a script where this lives in the subjective mind, if we have a script that says, I don't deserve love, or I don't deserve money, or I don't deserve prosperity, or I don't deserve health, then anytime we do an I am statement, it's going to bounce right back. Okay. So when you look at the V, what you're seeing is the conscious mind is the idea, and then it passes through the subjective mind into form and then returns back into the nothingness from which it came. Very much like what happens with flowers when you plant them in the garden. The seed is the top, the soil is the medium, is the middle part, and the flower comes out on the bottom, and then it returns back into the nothingness from which it came when the dormant season comes. But the process of our creation is the same. And so when we're doing spiritual mind treatment, our form of affirmative prayer, we are utilizing all of these parts in order to create the reality that we want to see. So there are 5 steps to treatment. The first step is unification. No, recognition. Sorry. First step is recognition, where we recognize God is absolutely all there is, in and through all of life. One power, one presence, one life, one love. You'll notice that this is going to start sounding like I'm praying out, and I sort of am. So right now, I turn my awareness to the infinite power, the infinite presence of God, to that place within me that knows beyond human understanding just how powerful God is. That is a recognition step. The next step is unification. This is, I live my life in this beingness. It is who and what I am, my very essence, my very life, my very beingness. Who and what I am. And every thought, every action, every deed is guided and led by that ancient wisdom of the ages that lives within me. That's unification. The next step is realization. Now, you might recognize that the first 2 steps seem an awful lot like meditation and getting centered. And that's true. It is. The third step is more like an affirmation, but it's called recognition, because we are recognizing the truth of the situation. So a realization step for this service would be, right now, I am just knowing that this coming week is filled with an awareness of just how powerfully God works in my life, that I can, at any point in time, call up that awareness from within me, because that is where God lives. And so I know that whatever condition I'm experiencing, the truth about that is God. So in my unification step, most of the time in the prayer that I do at the end, is to recognize that that is true for Faith and for Lynn and for Oz and for Tina and for Elaine and for Karen, because I am knowing that we are all one. And the same is true for anyone who is watching this, whether that be in real time or later on. And so I have now unified everything as one. I come to the recognition where I recognize for us, all of us, that truth that is present here in this coming week. And then I take one step further because we do have a minister of prayer. So I am knowing that no matter what condition someone is experiencing that has placed their name in the ministry of prayer, that same truth flows through them, and that the power of God underlying that condition is more powerful than the condition itself. And so I pull back the veil, revealing this truth and claiming for them the good that is already theirs. So I name it and claim it as good and very good, and I claim it in their name here and now. That's recognition. Again, affirmations, worded the same way as affirmations are worded. The fourth step is thanksgiving, which I would rather use the word gratitude, but we'll go with thanksgiving since Dr. Ernest Holmes wrote it that way. But thanksgiving is the stage in which we are grateful to know that is already so. We don't go back and pick up anything. We don't go back and say, I'm grateful that, I have all the wealth in the world, and I am grateful that I'm healthy and vibrant. We don't do that. What we say is, I am grateful that this is so now. Another way of claiming it, right? Because when your heart fills with gratitude, you are now attracting like a magnet those things that you want to see in your life. Gratitude is one of the spiritual tools in our toolkit, but we invoke it here in the gratitude step. And we say, I am so grateful that this is done now. And those of us who are in service always add, and to be of service in this way. That's it. That's all there is. You write like a half page on the first two steps. You make a couple of sentences in the third step. The fourth step is just a brief, I am so grateful that this is done and to be of service in this way. And then the fifth step is release, and that is, and so it is. Just a teeny little statement. Some people put on amen at the end. I do because there are people who don't relate to, and so it is, who've been taught at the end of a prayer is amen. So I do it that way because I want to include everybody in it. But those are the 5 steps of treatment. The most powerful spiritual practice you can absolutely do are the 5 steps of spiritual mind treatment. So now that I've done the prayer and I have explained all of this, I'm going to let's see, what do I usually do here? I've totally messed myself up here. This is our opportunity to receive your gifts, tithes, and offerings, and your opportunity to express your gratitude for that, which you may have seen in this physical realm already, or it may be something that you have created in the conscious mind, is moving through the subjective mind right now, but at the bottom will actually manifest into physical form, but you haven't seen it yet, right? Excuse me. So please go to oasiscsl.org, and about 2/3 down the page is going to be our offering affirmation. I'm going to have you say it with me in a minute, and then the contribute now button at the bottom of that. So let me talk about contributing real quick here. What you are contributing to is not my salary or anybody's salary. What you're contributing to right now, when you give your money, is you're contributing to this message getting out into the world and actually changing lives. Because that's really what we want to do here. And it does take money to market that. I'm sorry, it just does. I'd like to think that I could just beam it out into the world like Dr. Ernest Holmes did when he opened his practice and just sat there in consciousness and people came to him. I would like to think that I guess my consciousness is not quite that evolved yet. So unfortunately, we have to take some human doingness steps to actually market, to get out into the world so that people's lives can be changed through these messages. All right, so go with me. Join me now at oasiscsl.org. 2/3 down the page is our offering affirmation. Whether you're watching this in real time or you're watching it later, you can do this with me right now. Say this offering affirmation with me. This perfect gift is spirit in form, circulating and blessing all it touches. Freely I give and joyously I receive. And so it is. All right. Let's see. Ministry of Prayer. We have this wonderful team of licensed practitioners from coast to coast that are available not only to pray with you, but to give you spiritual guidance should you need it. We do have a ministry of prayer that if you would like prayer for something, you can put your issue in the comment section here, and we will pray on those every day for a week. If you don't want it to be public, you can always direct message Faith or myself, and we will make sure that that gets on the private group page on Facebook for our God Squad. So type whatever that issue is in the comment or direct message Faith or I. If you would like to be on the God Squad, you don't necessarily have to be a licensed practitioner to pray on these every day for a week. You do have to be willing to do affirmative prayer every day for a week and keep those requests confidential. If you're interested, say yes in the comment section, and Faith will get you added to our God Squad list. The only people who have access to those prayer requests are the God Squad. Okay. All right. And if you would like to be part of our online community, type more in the comments section, and Faith will add you to our public facing group page from Facebook. That's, I'm sorry, I have this tickle. I can't seem to get rid of it. Probably because I don't really fully drink the water and let it go down, whatever. I start talking right away. Anyway, she will put you on the public facing page. There you will go to get all of the information about us, what we're doing. Any new things that come up will be posted there before they're posted to the world. So type yes or like type more in the comment section, and Faith will add you to that page. Also know that today, Oz will be available at the end for our 1-minute miracle. It's not a time for counseling, but it is a time where you can share with him whatever condition you're experiencing, and he will stop, drop, and pray with you right then and there. We do have licensed, and you can reach him through video chat. If he doesn't answer right away, it means he's on with somebody else, and so just wait a few minutes and then get back to him. We do have our licensed practitioners are available by appointment for a fee for spiritual guidance. You can reach out to them through our website or through Facebook. Contact them, let them know you would like an appointment. They will arrange payment, some form of payment with you, either PayPal or Cash App, or I use it all the time. Why can't I think of it? Oh, Faith, what? Venmo. Okay, so all I had to do was look at Faith and Venmo. She set up the Venmo account. Anyway, our practitioners are responsible for setting up their own payment form. And reach out to them, let them know. Once you've made payment, you can set an appointment, and they will reach out to you by video chat on your appointment. That was a lot to say, appointment. All right, bracelets. Brooks and Bailey has, as I said earlier, has this wonderful line of mala beads and bracelets that they do. All proceeds go to Rocky Mountain Lab Rescue, and you can reach out to them by brooksandbailey0307@gmail.com. They also have a Facebook page. These right here, because I asked for them to be made in, what's my favorite stone?
Amethyst.
Amethyst. Thank you. God, I can't think today. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I asked her to make them out of amethyst. So these are 60. They do have different price ranges for different beads. So reach out to them. Also, their bracelets have these wonderful clasps that are a little circle with a bar that goes through it, so you don't drop them. I've only had it fall off my wrist one time in the last almost 2 years. So that's really saying something, because I lose bracelets like crazy. So, and then Faith.
And go check out the Mystic Brew. One of my favorite things is using a tension jar during my spiritual mind treatment. So we have multiple ones for different intentions that you want to work on. We also have kits where you can make your own. And we also have bath salts. Man, Tucker, your brain got my brain all messed up. Please go check out our social media on Instagram and Facebook for any upcoming events. Hopefully we'll be doing something in March maybe, so go check it out and order through our website.
God. I'm sorry. I don't mean to affect everybody in the world with this, but Faith made this intention jar for me for prosperity. So when I'm working on my prosperity, I like to play with it. It just helps me just focus. I kind of like that. All right. And then as an adjunct to that, we have Angel Renee, who has these intention candles that are $25 each, and a tea bag that you can put in your tea so that you can work on your intention while you're in there. And those, I believe, are $10 through her Etsy store. All right. And then I just like to do a shout out for Reverend Fairy Lane Silver, because we do a lot of her music, and it is available on her website. You can go on her website, look up whatever CD you would like to buy. This one was off of, oh gosh, do you know, Faith? I don't remember. I'll look it up here in a second. Actually, I'll look it up while I'm talking to you. So anyway, but she travels the country, and for some reason she can't update her website. So you have to reach out to her by, oh, for crying out loud, where is it? That's crazy. Oh, there it is. Okay. It's on The Art of Peace. That's the CD that it's on. So she travels around the country singing, and she has all these CDs in her trunk. She can't update her website for some reason, so she can't change the way payment gets made. And so you need to reach out to her by email, and she'll let you know how to pay. And then she will send you a CD. Also, I like to acknowledge Karen Drucker, who has gifted us with her entire collection of 20 CDs. You can buy a song, a CD, a songbook. There's karaoke tracks. You can purchase any one of those things or all of them from her website. Her website does work, so you can purchase it right directly on there. We like to support those who support us, so please go purchase some of their items. And then check out our website, www.oasiscsl.org. There you will find the current sermons for almost 2 years now on video, and the audio sermons from all the years prior. We are also, we have pictures and all kinds of things from events that we've done at the church. And we're also available on YouTube for the videos and SoundCloud for the audio sermons. Oof, gosh, under S. Tucker. So check us out. Go back to our website often. And we're going to move into our final closing song here. If you don't know the words to this, memorize them, because it's a great meme to get stuck in your head.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
And I know right here, right now, that there's a force in the universe that we can use. And I know this is a good thing. And I let these things roll forth from here. And I enjoy the blessings and I give thanks. And so it is.
And so it
So
is.
It is.
Thank you, everybody. I know there's 1,000 things you could be doing on a Sunday morning. We are blessed to have you with us. Thank you for being here. Join us next week, 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time, and every week. Stay safe, wear a mask, get vaccinated. We love you. Until next week. Bye.